Well, here we are again. Dr. Stan, is always a pleasure to get to talk about what is near and dear to both of our hearts, and that is all things cybersecurity and the implications of all this crossover in every area of our lives. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks, Julie. Doing
Awesome.
great. Glad to be back with you again. Yes.
Likewise.
Yeah. Right.
So
You want
where are
me
we
to
going
jump
to
in?
start first? I know
Yeah.
it's
I don't
like
know.
there's so much to talk about. Okay, you dive
Exactly.
into it.
Well, that's actually what we just illustrated is one of the challenges of how do two computers talk together without over talking each other. But
So
we'll
true.
get there later. Einstein, great quote of his. We're going to look at today. We can't solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. We're going to take that as our theme today. You with me?
I am absolutely with you.
Yeah, cool. So, just think about it. Go back to the early 1940s. Can we build a computer? You know the movie The Imitation Game. That's it was, can we build it? And then it was, okay, we got a computer. We got lots of them, 8 or 10 in the world. Can we connect them together? Wow. We can connect them together. Look, we learned how to do that. Then, how do we store all this information? How do we analyze all this information? How do we get it to go faster? This is what we want. Like there's more power we know on these things than is what went to the moon in the 1960s.
Oh, of course.
More. Bill Gates even said it, and I love this quote of Bill Gates, 1999, business at the speed of thought. How you gather, manage, and use information will determine whether you win or lose. That's the level of thinking that created what? How you gather, manage, and use information will determine whether you win or lose. What's missing?
Stan, Dr. Stan, I'm sorry. Did you forget to say secure that information?
Secure.
I mean, surely.
Secure. Oh my God, you're right.
Someone should call Bill.
Yeah, right. So, this is this is the thinking that got us into this mess.
Indeed.
How do we do it faster? How do we get these things to work? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's run. Oh, security. Oh yeah, forgot that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are.
Agreed.
So we got to think differently.
Think differently.
Think differently. That's what Einstein
differently,
said.
right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But then what's the paradigm? Like, give me a story or something. Help me understand it, see it a little differently.
Yeah, exactly. We need a new paradigm, a new way of thinking about these things. But let's go back to something we already know. Okay. I live in Los Angeles. We love fast cars in Los Angeles.
Do you ever?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. And I'm sure it's the same way on the highways in Texas. It's the same.
Trucks, big.
Trucks, big. There you go. Exactly. But what do we know about cars and trucks? No matter how fast they go, they got to have good brakes.
They do.
They got to have good safety and crash systems.
They do.
And they got to have good drivers.
We hope they do.
We definitely hope they do. That's our situation.
Yes.
On the IT side, we're building safer cars. We're building better crash systems. The work the National Institute of Standards and Technology does, and CISA, and all the nonprofits and nonprofit cyber, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of good stuff happening here.
Agreed.
And there's a big push by the Biden administration to kind of move that forward as well. But where it comes down to is ultimately we need good drivers.
We do.
From the boardroom to the living room, as we've often talked about.
From the boardroom to the living room. Yes.
Absolutely. And the other thing we need is, it's almost like the equivalent of car mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
Good, solid IT professionals who can configure systems correctly, maintain them correctly. If we could just get that done, just with the technology we have.
Yeah.
We could probably prevent as much as 70% of all the
70%?
70%.
70%.
Yeah. You look at the Verizon reviews, annual review, and it's hygiene. It's like we've talked about. It's doing the basics. It's not esoteric stuff. Sometimes, it's esoteric. Sometimes it's a nation state. But against most of the cybercrime, good, reasonable practices
Indeed
block most of that. And so as I said, from the boardroom to the living room, that's where this stuff's got to go. We got to just disperse it out that way.
Well,
Yeah.
I like the car analogy a lot. And what I really like too is this idea of like the pit crew, right? The
Yeah.
critical pit crew. Because if we've seen races where someone was like, I'm not going to go to the pit crew, I'm just going to go. And then
Yeah.
we see, no, you're not. You're going to stop because those tires have melted and you're not going anywhere and you've
Yeah.
lost the race. And I
Hmm.
think that sad part and the reality of it is that we know that here in the cybersecurity workforce, we already have a gap. We don't have enough in the pit crew.
Hmm.
And that's all. It's like a collective responsibility. We
That's
can't
right.
just say, oh, education will take care of it. Oh, the government will make sure that we have enough. It's like, no, everyone has to do their part. And if we
Hmm.
don't stop and think about what it is my part to do, then that pit crew will not be ready to keep your community and your business safe.
Yeah. Well said. I mean, everybody's got that role to play. I mean, and I know,
Yes.
like, one of the things we talked about just before going on live is a piece of that really
Mhm.
goes down all the way to the ultimate consumer to know what's
Does
going
it
on with
ever?
their information. I know you wanted to, you've been researching the good RX story, not so good
Oh,
anymore. You
boy.
know, yeah.
It's something that makes you wish you had researched earlier. For the FTC have to be the one to tell me what GoodRx was doing with my information.
Hmm.
And if you're listening to this, if you don't know what GoodRx is, it's probably because you have great health insurance. But for the very large and growing majority of people who are self-employed or are small businesses that don't have a structured health insurance setup, you rely on patchwork things like including GoodRx, which is a discount drug program. Now, when you start signing up with something like GoodRx, they kind of tell you something along the lines of this: we will safeguard your personal information. And you go, great, thank you. Because surely, as you hand over such a volume of personal information, including the drugs that you take, you would think that HIPAA might even be the thing to proactively protect you. But unfortunately, GoodRx took the HIPAA logo and put it on their website and didn't actually manage their records in accordance with HIPAA regulations, right? So that's alarming. And it goes even deeper. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Scott, as we know that things happen. Every once in a while, a slip up will occur. Oh, well, we didn't do this part right. But they did a host and a bouquet of things so egregiously wrong that I'm not
Hmm.
sure that they're going to have a business going forward. Because once you shut off that thing that they can't take personal information and sell it and give it away anymore, well, what kind of business do you have left?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but a host of bad, bad, bad things. So thank
That's
you,
right.
FTC, for watching out for us.
Oh,
We should
very,
have done
very,
it on
very
our
much.
own.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. Thank you. And it's the same thing. I mean, imagine you go back to the car analogy, right?
Yes.
You go into your favorite wherever you rent your cars on a trip, uh, only to discover sometime later that they weren't maintaining the cars properly,
Ugh,
that the
yeah.
brakes weren't working, and they weren't changing the oil and doing those things,
Mhm.
and people would die. I mean, again, you know,
Yeah.
and it goes in part to this whole need to change the way we're thinking because as consumers, we're not used to thinking about those things. We're not,
Yeah.
we're not used to if we see the HIPAA logo, we expect the HIPAA logo to represent reality. Not that we understand HIPAA or any of that, but it's like a seal of approval of some
Yeah.
kind. And then to find that it's not there. And again, kudos to the FTC and
Yes.
all
And
for
the
bringing
watchdog
this.
organizations that inform the FTC of this.
Yeah,
But to your point exactly, I wasn't driving. I should have
yeah.
been driving on this one, especially for something as critical as this. I should have been much more thoughtful. Like, how do they make money? How
Hmm.
does a company like this offer such a benefit for free?
Hmm.
Like, follow the money in essence,
That's
but
right.
have a nose for these things. But like, as we talk about all the time, Dr. Stan, don't trust. Don't trust. Trust goes where it's trustworthy to trust. This is
Hmm.
not trustworthy. This is a
Yeah,
corporation.
yeah.
And as we've heard this Taylor Swift song, haters gonna hate, 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 hate. Corporations are going to corporate hate. They're here to make money. So
Hmm.
don't be surprised when they do things with
Hmm.
the one source of business they have, which is your data.
Yeah.
So
And you just speak to the very, very complexity of all of this,
Yes,
because we want them to make money because that's
we
how they pay
do.
their employees,
We
right?
do.
And that's how they fund our stock and, retirement
Absolutely.
programs. So we need that. But
We do.
on the one hand, if they're going to be driving the car, building the car, they got to build it to spec.
Yep.
And sadly, we're in a time where, we, I'm going to go cook dinner tonight,
Hmm.
and I'm going to trust the quality of the food in
Boy,
the cans that I might open to put into that food, because for over 130 years now, or 120 years, we've had a
yeah.
Food and Drug Administration to help protect our food, and we
Hmm.
take that for granted. We're in
We
a
do.
time in history, again, having to think different. We're in the middle of all of this right now. This is,
Ugh,
we've got to work through this, and these are the stories, like the Good RX story, that are helping us think through them, helping us learn to think differently. Because as you said, tomorrow you're going to think differently than you did today because of your experiences with Good RX. That's
nobody wants to.
that's
I
how
don't have
we
time for
learn.
that. But
Well,
you have
yeah,
to make time for that. You
that's right.
have to make time for that.
Hmm.
Otherwise, um, well, anyway, what I can say is that we all live and learn, but then we
Hmm.
have to actually take that learning and do something with it. Look at the behavior change that needs to take place. Look at any
Hmm.
data deletion that needs to take place. But going back to like data hygiene, I
Yeah.
love Ron Gula's idea around data hygiene. It's
Hmm.
best practices for
Hmm.
managing our data, just like we do anything else that we have to care for on an ongoing, continual basis. So I can only imagine that as we're talking about this story, everyone is having that thing of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't believe I do this with my data and I trust this. And oh, yeah, that happened. It's like we all have a story. But how often do you check with your parents on what their story is? I know that even as I sat here today, my my mother-in-law got a text message, a spam text message that was alarming and scary and made her upset and nervous that someone was
Hmm.
spending money on her behalf. How often are you checking in with your village, with your
Hmm.
business practices, with the people that you work with, your tech department? Do you understand what they're saying? Do you understand what they're doing? Make sure that you are attentive in your here and your now with the thing that is your village, the people
Hmm.
around you, where you make money, where you do business, and make sure that people around you are safe and they know what to do and they feel empowered.
Wow. You just said it all. That beautifully said, Julie. Yeah, absolutely. Each and every one of us has to not only do our part for ourselves, but to
Mhm.
help everybody else around them
That's
as
right.
well. As we come to, some of the future's already here. One of the things we've talked about, it's just not evenly distributed. Those of us that get it got to help others, and
Yes.
none of us get it all.
No,
That's the
absolutely.
yeah. So we got to all help each other.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. And that's the
Hmm.
beauty of what Secure the Village is building here. We are a membership organization that partners with wonderful corporations that really are trying to figure out what is their part to play, filling the workforce gap in cybersecurity, figuring out where they can insert an investment to help make a difference. And so if you're
Yeah.
interested in learning more about how you can leverage your place, your space, your influence, your finances to directly impact the community, we have amazing ways that we are working to cyber secure the community all around us. So please get in touch with Dr. Stan or myself. We are
Hmm.
happy to pair you with an opportunity to give you great visibility and to help do your part to secure our global village.
Super. Thank you as
Awesome.
always, Julie.
Thank you, Dr. Stan. We'll see you
Uh-huh.
same time next week, live on
Sounds great.
Cyber. Excellent.